Obviously, we can't get a good look at the face yet. Is it just skull bone? Bite marks.
That's interesting, the way the pantyhose or whatever dripped. Yeah.
It was at this moment the cops' worst fears were confirmed with a single horrifying discovery. There was a deranged killer on the loose.
I've never seen anything like this. We just knew that the suspect had several weeks of a head start on us.
The killer thought he'd gotten away, but little did he know, he was caught on camera.
I wanted to get this guy. It was like my life's mission.
Just when the case seemed unsolvable, the cops found a lead that would change everything.
He broke in the window just about an hour ago.
Were you in bed sleeping?
I was on the couch.
You were on the couch sleeping.
You can't leave him here. You guys can't leave him here. He'll kill me.
However, the very first chapter of his sinister story revealed a horror so unimaginable that it shook even the most notorious criminals to their core.
Like, oh my God. I mean, I'm no angel. I've never done something like that.
It was 7:36 in the evening of April 7th, 2016, and a homeless woman had just called 911 in Pasco County, Florida. She was looking for cans, but had come across something she was never going to forget.
So you basically ventured in the first time, got cans, came back out, went back in a little deeper, pulled those branches back and saw what you thought was a dead body. Did you immediately recognize it as a dead body? Okay, no, can you touch anything? No. Okay, did you do anything at all out there other than touch the branch? And you came back out and you called us.
The suspected area was around the woodland of Newport Ricci. Pasco County Sheriff Matthew Adamo was going to investigate the report.
We think we're responding to a standard death investigation call that was relayed to us as a dead homeless male in the woods. We arrive on scene. I activated my body-worn camera. Little did I know what I was walking into.
The initial speculation was that it was a homeless altercation gone wrong, but the detectives soon realized that they were in the middle of something much more disturbing.
If it's a GSW or...
I think he's headless right at this point.
Detectives interviewed the caller, who claimed that a headless body of a man was beside a shopping mall next to a mobile home community. She ran back out immediately, and in doing so, she avoided contaminating the scene. After getting confirmation of the body in the wooded area, the investigative team divided into two. One was to secure the body, and the other one was to look out for evidence.
And you're looking at the video cameras for that. Okay. We want to get the video.
We want to ensure that we're locating any witnesses before they leave the area or forget what they saw.
I'm going to go all these houses in this little trailer park here. Right. I'll even say back as far as a week and a half, 2 weeks, if you've seen anything. Right. And can you tell us a white male that bad?
I would say it's a white male. Is he that far in decomp? Okay.
Fortunately, the nearest was the Metro PCS store, where they may find something horrific that was caught on camera.
Do you have physical drives here, like actual hard drives to record?
No.
Mind if I take a peek at your system? Can I just look at it, see what kind of system it is? Thank you, I appreciate it.
Simply because we see surveillance video cameras doesn't mean that we're going to get any information from them.
Do you guys have cameras out back? Well, honestly, I have no idea. We'll just look over this on a portal. Let's see if there's anything on it. I need like 2 weeks worth from today back. Oh, 2 weeks? Yeah. Good luck with that. I didn't know
The employee took him to the room where the CCTV footage was being recorded, but most of it was erased. The new owners had just bought this building on Friday, because of which everything on camera was erased. In the meantime, a different team of police officers secured the area and cleared the path to the body. Their priority was to identify the victim and draw initial conclusions. The investigators were moments away from a revelation that would redefine their entire search.
It's like a female flip-flop. I might be seeing him, actually.
Walking in a little further, when I got closer to the body, he appeared to have some female clothing on.
Hey, Sarge. Yeah. Looks like it might be a female, actually. Yeah, that might be one of her shoes. There's another shoe back there matching.
So that changed a little bit of the dynamic of what we were looking at here.
And there's the other flip-flop just past her.
As they realized the body belonged to a female, right away they had a hunch on who this person could have been.
I wonder if the body is missing female from Newport Ricci.
How long ago?
Girl back 2015.
21-year-old Brooklyn Peck was reported missing in October of 2015, just over a mile from the wooded area. After a long investigation, police had labeled her as an unsolved case. The search for Brooklyn had worn out, and the hope of finding her safe and sound had died down with it. But when the newly found body appeared on the news, Brooklyn's family had again hoped to gain some kind of closure after 6 agonizing months.
My relationship with Brooklyn was very, very close. More like a daughter to me. Brooklyn was liked by everybody who met her. Everyone who would meet her would say what a lively personality she had. Even if she didn't have something, she would go out of her way to make sure that someone else had something. I have not met one person that had something negative to say about her. She was just genuinely loved by everybody. At the end of the day, what I would like to hear about Brooklyn's disappearance is just closure. If she was murdered, I'd like to know. I mean, you don't ever want to hear the worst, but hearing the worst is better than hearing nothing.
However, the confirmation on whether it was Brooklyn relied on the coroner's report, which would happen after forensics securely got to the body and took it in for a test. But all of that had to wait until the crime scene was thoroughly investigated and the tricky location of the body was playing a number on them.
We're going to make a pass, and then you guys will be able to come back. Watch this stump right here. And the flip-flop. Yeah, let me open up some of these branches. I'm going to cut this branch, so if you could just hold it here in the event that it doesn't fall on the body.
Around 9:05 in the evening, they finally were able to take a closer look at the body. Little did the officers know, they were about to encounter one of the worst discoveries of their lifetimes.
This was one of the more brutal scenes I had been to.
In this case, we believe that there was foul play involved. There was evidence of blunt force trauma to her head.
Obviously, we can't get a good look at the face yet. Is it just skull bone?
Normally, if a body's found, one indication that they were robbed could be that they're not wearing any jewelry.
Looking at the position of the body, jewelry still on, and they didn't take the ring, so
nope.
It had nothing to do with that.
Nope.
Her dress was pulled over her face. Her stockings were ripped.
Yeah, but this poor person's been out a while. Definitely.
The investigators noticed that she still had jewelry on, suggesting that it wasn't a robbery gone wrong. Her clothes were pulled over her face, and her face was brutally massacred to the point of being unrecognizable. The police also observed her ripped stockings, leading them to suspect that this crime scene was not just a dumping ground. This was the exact place the victim had lost her life. She was brought here and murdered.
To think that another human being would do this to a person and leave them without an identity or without any cause or care for that person was very disturbing.
They knew one thing for sure. The investigation was not going to be easy.
Her toenails did and everything. See, like animals ate those toes off.
There was some trash on the ground, and we had to decipher through what was evidence and what was not evidence. Early in the investigation, there were some difficulties that we faced, like we didn't have the decedent positively identified. We didn't have any suspects, any motives. We just knew that the suspect had several weeks of a head start on us.
Whether it was Brooklyn or not, the victim had suffered the most horrible last moments. In fact, this would be the most horrifying case of SA the detectives had ever witnessed.
She didn't place her dress over her head. She didn't position herself to where her legs were in a V shape. Her legs were posed in a manner that's consistent with a full battery.
That's interesting, the way the pantyhose or whatever dripped. Yeah.
Bite marks.
We ended up getting word from the medical examiner's office that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head.
The investigators knew they'd witnessed the aftermath of a disturbing, sexually depraved fantasy. It's here that the true disturbing story would start to unfold.
Well, with the weather we've had, it could speed up the decomposition.
As for the identity of the Jane Doe, Brooklyn Peck was their closest bet. While the body was processed for forensic analysis, the detectives poured themselves deep into Brooklyn's case file. that is where they made a grim discovery. Even before the forensic report negated the connection between the body and Brooklyn, they detected a physical feature that made it impossible to be Brooklyn. This was one of the many movie-like twists in this case. Brooklyn was missing the tip of her pointer finger on her left hand, while the recovered body had the tip intact.
At this point, we realized that the decedent was not Brooklyn Peck.
When we heard that this wasn't Brooklyn, we had a whole different range of emotions. We went from being happy and relieved that it wasn't her to also being sad that it wasn't her, because we were kind of hoping at this point that we would have some closure.
The attempt to make a positive identity of Jane Doe was back to zero. The next daunting task was to comb through the missing persons reports of the month until they found a positive match. They began a rigorous search through recent missing persons reports, determined to find the woman's identity and, if possible, bring closure to yet another family waiting for answers. As they worked their way through records, they finally had found a match. A woman reported missing only weeks prior who bore a striking resemblance to the body they'd recovered.
Not unlike her to disappear for a few days, but it is unusual not to hear from her. This week, they filed a missing persons report with the Maine State Police, who say they have notified authorities down in Florida.
With this identification, the detectives realized they were beginning a new investigation altogether. The body belonged to 52-year-old Judith Therianos. This grandmother had been missing for over a month now, and her family was just as desperate as Brooklyn's. They knew that uncovering what happened to this woman would require a delicate balance of forensic precision and unyielding determination, and perhaps a little luck. While Brooklyn's case remained open, their focus now shifted to unraveling the truth behind Judith's horrible fate.
Judy and I took a road trip down to Florida to visit our friend who had cancer. She stayed behind to take care of her, and I returned back to Maine. Judy and I got referred to as mother and daughter because our age difference is about 20 years, but that didn't stop us. Our friendship was more like soul sisters.
Judith was not a resident of Newport Richey. She was merely a visitor. She traveled there with a friend to see another friend who was battling cancer. Tragically, she never returned home.
I was leaving to go north, and I said, be careful and don't be stupid. That, just watch your back.
The medical examiner's office was able to get a fingerprint from the deceased person, and they were able to determine that our deceased was Judith Therianos.
When detectives finally identified Judith, they also gained a crucial lead from the CCTV footage gathered from the area, breathing life back into the case.
We separated into groups. A few detectives went to locate her last known whereabouts, and a couple of us went to a convenience store to obtain video. We concentrated on a convenience store and several other businesses in the area.
The first surveillance video that we located was her purchasing alcohol in a convenience store nearby an area that she was known to frequent.
In the surveillance video footage, we observed Judith purchasing her items. At the time, she was seen accompanied by another person.
The footage showed her buying alcohol at a nearby convenience store while accompanied by an unidentified man. And with that, the police now had a suspect to follow. A suspect that potentially held the answers to this perplexing mystery.
When we located the surveillance video of Judith in the convenience store with the male, we didn't know if he was responsible for her death or if he was another just acquaintance of her. Maybe he can assist us with the investigation.
Identifying this man became the top priority, as he was the last person seen with Judith. Unfortunately, DNA evidence collected from the crime scene yielded no matches in the system, meaning he wasn't registered. The detective's only option was to canvass the neighborhood. Equipped with nothing but a description and photo of the man, they returned to the trailer park, knocking on as many doors as possible in the hope that someone could recognize their primary suspect.
I guess I'll start out with you first. We're conducting a death investigation. Right here in this wood line, there's a badly decomposed body that was just found.
Is that like a stinking back there? I'm telling you, I fucking smell some bad back there.
Okay, it's probably the dead body. It looks to be about 2 weeks old. A white male, and he's got a red shopper cart next to him. If you have seen anything in the past 2 weeks,
About 3 weeks ago, I seen there was a white male back there. He had brought like food and shit like that in the shopping cart, and I left him alone because
So you look homeless?
Yeah.
Have you seen anything in the past 2 weeks? Heard anything in the past 2 weeks?
No.
Everyone gave vague descriptions indicating either that they didn't know what happened or they didn't want to talk to the police. The closest they got was to a man named Grizzly, who not only had information, but also evidence.
We received information that there was a man named Grizzly who lived nearby in a mobile home park, that he had known Judith. So we had gone to speak with him to see if he had any kind of information that could assist with this investigation.
Come on in. Here's my messy hat. That's all right. I'm a bachelor.
Me too.
All right. And I figured I better do the right thing.
Thank you.
Because I don't want to be known as a inspector.
I get it. We understand, Doctor.
He had information that went beyond simple hearsay and even presented them with tangible evidence. He told the police that he barely knew the man, but gave him a shelter to stay for a couple of days.
Short hair, brush cut type of deal.
He also informed the detectives that this man had left behind his bag.
But these are the clothes that were under the bed in this bag.
Okay.
When we collected those items, we examined them and we believed that it was the same shirt and the same backpack that was in the surveillance video at the convenience store while she was with the man.
Grizzly's revelation was a crucial break in the case, as it directly tied the suspect's attire to the scene. However, Grizzly's knowledge came to an abrupt halt there. He claimed he didn't know much about the suspect beyond the fact that he seemed anxious, almost paranoid, and in a hurry to leave town. According to Grizzly, the man had talked about buying a one-way ticket to Chicago, but hadn't offered any personal details or even a name.
He sold his vehicle for a plane ticket.
You don't know where the plane ticket was for, though?
Chicago, that's all he said.
But it's here detectives were about to get an unexpected lead, and it unfolded in a manner that made the mystery even more unsettling.
After we spoke to Grizzly, I was walking back to my car and a man named Stefan said, "Hey detective, can I talk to you about the IRS?" And he gave me a wink as he said it to me, which made me believe that he didn't want to talk to me about the IRS and he probably had more information.
The cops sensed a possibility of a lead so impactful that it could crack open the case entirely. They were at a make-or-break moment in their investigation, so they quickly assured him that anything he disclosed would be handled with the utmost confidentiality and protection. That was when Stefan talked.
Well, you know where the dollar store is over there in the,
Yes.
liquor store?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was about 6 p.m. And he walked with me to get cigarettes at the liquor store. We came out, and she was on the side of the dollar store, kind of leaning against the wall. I waved to her, and he goes, "Who's that?" And I said, "That's Judy."
Stefan knew not only Judith, but also the mystery man. According to Stefan, his name was Timothy. It was when he was with Timothy at a convenience store, Timothy had expressed his curiosity about Judy. With Grizzly's evidence tying the mystery man to the scene, and now Stefan's implied willingness to reveal something huge, the investigators were nearer to the bottom of the truth than ever. Stefan was on the brink of revealing something that would finally unravel the mystery once and for all.
Who knows what's in somebody's head? I guess he wanted to confide in me. He says, "Can I tell you something really bad that I did?" I said, "I guess, unless you killed her." And he goes, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." And I got up and I started pacing. "Oh my God!" I said, like, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" I go, "Yeah, how do you think I feel?" And I didn't want to hear no more. At that point, I was freaking out. And then he went on to say something about getting a rush from doing it.
The mystery man was finally identified, but this was just the beginning of what Stefan was about to reveal.
He said, "Yeah, I've been back to the spot 2 times with alcohol."
And when he said alcohol, did he meant like drinking alcohol?
Drinking alcohol. I got the feeling that he meant alcohol to clean,
kind of like
clean up or whatever.
Like a peroxide type of a thing, like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah.
At the scene, we located a rubbing alcohol bottle. At the time, we didn't know the significance of it. Now we know that he took rubbing alcohol and poured it on her body in an attempt to conceal his identity by killing the DNA.
Starting that night, I'm like freaking out. I couldn't sleep for days. I barricaded my door. I sleep with a knife under my pillow. I sleep with my phone right in my hand.
How long have you known him for? When did you first meet him?
About a week before he confided in me.
So you have only known him for a short period of time?
Let me stop you, I'm so sorry. When you say you and him, who was that?
Tim.
Stefan identified the man as Timothy Johnson.
I wish I could give you more, but...
No, you benefit help.
Very good.
Timothy had expressed his interest in Judith, but within a couple of hours, the interest would take a deadly turn. The detectives were moments away from a discovery that would rewrite the story entirely.
It was a huge turning point for us because it felt like we were getting closer to figuring out who had killed Judith.
Detectives did a background check on Timothy Johnson, and they found that he'd been previously arrested 4 times in Florida for aggravated battery, domestic battery, and 2 times for failure to appear in court.
Just go on and spread your legs for me. Nothing else on you, right, that I didn't catch?
Interestingly, one of those aggravated assault arrests took place 3 weeks before Judith's body was discovered.
Nothing in your waistband, nothing like that?
He was drinking heavily and broke into a woman's home late at night. But more importantly, this meant that he was already in the police's custody.
Ethan.
He broke in the window just about an hour ago.
Were you in bed sleeping?
I was on the couch.
You were on the couch sleeping.
He comes around the hallway with a knife in his hand. He threatens to cut me up and everything. You can't leave him here. You guys can't leave him here. He'll kill me.
Timothy Johnson was so cold-hearted and didn't show any type of remorse about the crimes that he had committed.
Now that the detectives are armed with witness statements, CCTV footage, and evidence that puts him near the crime scene, the detectives will cut straight to the elephant in the room. The video evidence alone was significant. It captured Timothy near the crime scene around the time Judith was killed, with witnesses also recalling his erratic behavior and interactions with Judith in the days leading up to her death. With these pieces coming together, the detectives were prepared to build a solid case, knowing that Timothy's violent history provided context and weight to the current charges. The cops felt that they'd finally found the cold-blooded killer, but when the detectives went to the prison to interrogate him, little did they know this was just the beginning.
How you doing, Timothy? My name's Detective Lucius, my partner for Detective Burbridge. Okay. You're not in any trouble right now, but I have to read your Miranda, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
At that point, I was nervous too because I wanted to make sure I didn't screw it up. I wanted to get this guy. It was like my life's mission.
I have a picture of you with a person named Judith Theranos. Okay?
Yeah.
So obviously you guys are hanging out. How did you know her?
She used to go around the neighborhood I was staying at.
As they delved deeper, detectives realized they weren't just investigating a single murder. They were unraveling a pattern of escalating violence, and Johnson's arrest history hinted at a man accustomed to escaping serious repercussions for his actions.
While talking to Timothy, we were able to realize that this is not his first rodeo. When he spoke to us, he was calm, pretty soft-spoken. He didn't appear to be aggressive. This was not the first time he's been interviewed by law enforcement.
Do you know anything about her death? When was the last time you saw her?
Somewhere around March.
Up until now, have you heard that she died?
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it, yeah.
So you don't know her on a personal level. Is it somebody you would have hung out with?
Yeah. We did have sex, but just regular social.
He admitted that he knew Judith, and then he admitted to having sex with her. So we knew as detectives that we were getting closer to having him confess to murdering Judith.
They thought they were nearing a confession, but they were in for a surprise.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut to the chase because we know that you killed her. Okay? I can tell you right now. We know that you killed her. So what can you tell us with regards to that?
And here's where I'm at with this. I know that you're lying, obviously. We're trying to give you the opportunity to explain what happened, why it happened. We think that during your guys' consensual sex, it escalated and then it turned to the point where you killed her?
I think it was an accident. That's really what I think.
Am I allowed to have my lawyer present?
If you want to, sure.
It wasn't until after he was charged with first-degree murder, formally booked, and placed within the prison walls that he finally confessed to his actions, but not to the investigators. Instead, he talked to another prisoner.
We were sitting down talking, and he told me he was having with her.
Okay.
She wanted him to stop. He didn't want to stop. He said he choked her.
The informant was able to provide us with specific details.
She passed out. He said at that point he got scared. He pulls her shirt over her head. He hit her with some kind of board.
He knew where it happened. He was able to provide us information that he had sex with her near a dumpster and that he left her body in the wooded area.
After suffocating her to death and bashing her face in, he left to a place that could make anyone's skin crawl.
I obtained surveillance video footage of him at the restaurant eating, and it was the same time as the transaction on Judith's credit card.
Timothy was just sitting there nonchalantly. He wasn't panicked. He wasn't freaking out. It was like nothing ever happened to him.
Timothy swallowed down some waffles with his victim's stolen credit card. What he planned to do next would forever haunt. But no one dared imagine.
He said he went back and had sex with her again. And I was like, really? Wow.
During all of the investigations that I've worked, I've never seen anything like this.
You want to know the truth. It sickens me. I mean, I'm no angel. I've never done something like that.
Timothy Johnson was sentenced for a lifetime. In remembering Judith Therianos, we honor her life and advocate for a world where every individual is treated with dignity and respect, ensuring that no one else becomes a victim of such senseless violence.
We always see the worst in humanity. So nothing really surprises me. So this was sick and it was disturbing, but it wasn't something that I was... Well, that's a lie. I was impacted by it. I had nightmares. But not so much because of him, but because her last moments were really terrible.
I'm thankful and I'm grateful to have closure, but my heart goes out to the families that don't have that closure, that they're always wondering and have that hope that maybe their loved one will just reappear.
The timing and nature of this confession sparked countless debates, leaving investigators and the public alike to wonder, was he grappling with guilt, or was there a darker side to his selective silence? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you found today's video interesting, please consider subscribing to our channel, hit that like button, and share our videos. Also, if you have any crime story that you'd like us to cover, leave us a message in the comment section below.